Gaza.
Hamas is feeling now Israel's might. They will continue to be on the receiving end of our military blows until we have dismantled their military machine and dissolve their political structure in Gaza.
Mark Regev telling Fox News he can't be more specific at this stage. Fox's Trey Yingst in southern Israel.
It is heavy fire along the Israel-Gaza border. Over the past few hours, we've watched as the Israeli Air Force has pummeled the northern part of the Gaza Strip, launching a number of airstrikes in a variety of locations. Israeli artillery continues to fire into Gaza. You will hear right there the boom, an indication that they are shelling the eastern side of the Gaza Strip.
An Israeli military spokesman saying earlier an expanded ground raid was planned, not a full-scale ground operation that's been expected. The White House says the U.S. will continue to push for more aid to Gaza and also supports efforts to get civilians out. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby also telling reporters this isn't about the West versus the Muslim community.
This is about Israel going after a terrorist group that slaughtered about 1,400 Israelis. That's what this is about.
He says they're not giving up on a more stable Middle East, including Palestinians living in peace. President Biden getting briefings on the Middle East, also on the manhunt in Maine for mass shooting suspect Robert Card.
I want to assure all that a tremendous amount of law enforcement manpower, time, and effort is being utilized around the clock, literally around the clock.
David St. Pierre, the police chief in Lewiston, where 18 people were killed. The Dow down 366 at the bell. America's listening to Fox News.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
A Washington, D.C. murder suspect is back in custody after 7 weeks on the run.
After nearly 2 months at large, Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police say Christopher Haynes was arrested by a U.S. Marshals Service task force near Oxon Hill, Maryland. The 30-year-old was originally arrested on September 6th in connection with the fatal shooting of a 33-year-old man at a D.C. gas station, but broke free from custody while being treated for an ankle injury at George Washington University Hospital, assaulting an officer, fleeing, and forcing a shelter-in-place order at the campus. Metropolitan Police acknowledging Haynes was not properly secured while being treated, not sharing how officials were able to track him down, but revealing he faces additional charges related to his escape. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The UN General Assembly just approving a resolution calling for a humanitarian truce in Gaza. The White House has said a ceasefire now would only help Hamas, but hasn't ruled out support for a humanitarian pause. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried takes the stand at his fraud trial, saying the innovative business he hoped would move the cryptocurrency ecosystem forward ended up hurting customers instead. The defense trying to convince the jury he had no criminal intent. The Biden administration hopes to address two problems with one idea.
With commercial building vacancies at a 30-year high after the pandemic, according to the Council of Economic Advisors, the White House wants to support converting buildings with a lot of vacancies into residential ones. The plan to encourage conversions includes releasing a guidebook showing 20 federal programs through 6 federal agencies that include low-interest loans, grants, and tax incentives for conversions. The administration hopes the effort will lead to more affordable housing options across the country.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. Recapping stocks, the Dow drops 366 points, but that's off session lows. And Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Hey, what's up? It is The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Lante, Kyle Tosk. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Excited for today's show, man. Really excited.
You should be, because you've done a lot of work, and this is going to be it's going to be awesome to visit. We'll explain here in a second, but we've got a big game coming. It's exhibition, I understand that, but imagine just thinking, like I tried to fool myself when Illinois played UCLA a few years ago in the bowl game, thinking it was the Rose Bowl. I fooled myself to get excited. So if I just start thinking to myself, this is a real game Sunday, and you got the number one team in the country coming to town, how fun would that be? When's the last time that happened? Was Purdue number one?
I'm not sure.
I'm not
Maybe
either.
Kyle can effort that. The last time a top-ranked squad was here, him and I were discussing off the air yesterday.
Wake Forest, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. That's one that definitely comes to mind.
Well, Indiana, Griffey, right?
Yep.
Beating Indiana.
Yeah. Non-conference-wise, Illinois, of course, is going to have a marquee non-conference game against a top 10 opponent here in a few weeks against Marquette. But
Sold out.
It's been a while outside of the Arizona game. When Arizona 2 years ago came here on that return trip when you had the home and home.
Yes.
And that was a decently ranked Wildcats team. I think they were probably top 15 at the time and played out to be, I believe, a 1 seed that year, if not a 2 seed.
They were good.
I think they were a 1.
No, I think you're right.
And that was a really good squad there for Tommy Lloyd in Arizona. But, yeah, I'm with you. It would add just obviously another level if this game counted. But I hope that it feels like a game that counts.
Right.
For the most part. And talking to Luke Goody, as we did earlier this week, and he said flat out, we want to win this game. Make no mistake about it. Caught up with Terrence Shannon Jr. today over at Ubben, and I asked him, what do you think about seeing Hunter Dickinson again? He's like, yeah, I want to beat him again.
I saw that. I love it.
Or he said, I plan on beating him again.
On him.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And obviously the buzz in State Farm Center is going to be there because Kansas is going to be a team that a lot of people around here dislike.
Amen.
And while we can talk more about this, I think Bill Self should get a warm welcome.
I do too.
Hunter Dickinson won't.
No.
And then once the game starts, Illinois will be very much having a backing of a crowd that wants to beat the Jayhawks really badly.
Yeah, and if I'm a player, you could tell them all day that it's an exhibition, but as soon as the ball's tipped, it's another game to them. And how many times did you go out and in public and just play against your buddies? You want to win those games, right? Those pickup games. So I'm sure that they understand that this thing is an exhibition, but yet when that ball is tipped, they're wanting to put on a show. And of course, they don't want to be embarrassed by Kansas. Kansas doesn't want to be embarrassed by Illinois, however way it works, right? And I know from one of your articles, Bill Self had quoted, I think, at the Big 12 Media Day about, they're going to be able to show us things that we're not used to when we're practicing against ourselves. So they're going to put us in positions. And what I like about this is such a veteran and experienced Illinois team that I think they will put Kansas into some positions that Kansas doesn't want to be in. I think this is a heady, experienced Illinois squad that isn't – they're not going to go into this going, oh, my, we're a little bit worried because Kansas is ranked number 1. No, we're at home. This is going to be close to a sellout, if not, and we're going to go out there and perform. And I can't wait to see it. Big Ten Network, I think, right?
Big Ten Network,
if you're
5
not
p.m.
going, yeah.
I hope this is as close to possible as a sellout. I know that people have complained about some of the ticket prices, at least initially. I think it was $75 for the cheapest one. And I get it.
There's still $40 tickets left.
There are $40. And I would expect most people, and I would say, yes, it doesn't count. $40 to me seems like an adequate price to see the number 1 ranked team, to see Bill Self's return. I know everybody's got to make their own financial decisions.
Well, right.
But I personally, if I wasn't wearing a press pass around my neck over there on Sunday, I would definitely be buying tickets and getting in the crowd somewhere.
Well, and think of it this way. If you're not a season ticket holder or if you're not going to any games anyway, then you just figure like this is the one expense you're going to have this year for Illinois basketball. And, oh, by the way, Bill Self's in town. Oh, by the way, it's Kansas, who we can't stand. And, oh, by the way, they're ranked number 1 in the country.
Number 1 in the country.
So this is a chance to say you've gone to see a number 1 ranked team in the country and plus see your guys, right? It'll be a chance to maybe for a lot of people be the first look at Marcus Damask, the first look at Justin Harmon, a lot of these guys that we haven't seen play. and especially in orange and blue. I mean, obviously I've seen Damas play a lot at SIU, but I haven't seen him yet in an Illini uniform. So to me, that'll be fun. Luke Goody, how does he look now with a healthy season in front of him? Ty Rodgers is a different guy now. You know, you still got Coleman and Terrence Shannon. Oh, by the way, two guys that are projected to probably be picks in the NBA draft. So there's a lot of reason, despite who's coming to town, to go watch this Illinois team. And if it's your one cash a year, you know, then maybe that's the way you look at it and say, you know what, Lon's right. Let's put some money down and go see this baby.
Yeah, and how many more opportunities are you going to have to boo Hunter Dickinson? This might be your last chance.
And if everybody would have cooperated and I would have won that $1 billion lottery, I would have just bought everybody tickets. But see, it didn't cooperate that. Yeah, I mean, a chance to boo. Man, we can't let Hunter walk away. I think more than anything. Like, I don't know which one. Like, I'm not a guy that dislikes Bill Self. I like Bill. I hate that he left. I mean, I absolutely hate that because I understand, I think, what could have happened, right? I think we all do. And understood what could have happened here on the campus of the University of Illinois with this basketball program with Bill Self running the show. But, you know, you can't blame a guy for going to a really good job, right? And plus he was from that area essentially, so kind of going home for him. But Hunter Dickinson, man, you can't let him. You're undefeated against that dude.
You are.
You need, you know, it's kind of like that, how we think about Brian Cardinal. Like, we respect the hell out of Brian Cardinal, and he's one of us, right? He grew up in Tolono, and Rod was a great guy, but we never beat him. And that's something that'll never change. The rest of your life, that'll never change. So we want that hanging over Hunter Dickinson when he's 62 years old, hanging out at the beach in retirement going, you know, one thing I never did is beat Illinois. You're darn right you didn't.
I remember playing it on our show, and I don't know how many people went out of their way to watch and consume Hunter Dickinson and Jordan Bohannon's podcast last year, but I remember seeing a clip of it on Twitter and just the defeated look on Hunter's face when he was asked about the rivalry between Illinois and Michigan, and he said, I'll give him credit for giving the honesty to it and setting aside the ego. He was like, we can't call it a rivalry because we haven't beat them. And you could see how much that pained him to say, knowing that, you know, him and especially the Illini fan base have had their friction on social media and whatnot. And yes, he's going to say, all right, this is the best squad I've been a part of, most likely, and my best chance to come here and beat Illinois. And while it won't count in the record book, I'm sure Hunter will use that as an opportunity for him to say, okay, I at least beat him once, but Illinois, of course, could trump it and say, hey, yeah, even in an exhibition game when you had Bill Self at the helm,
we gave you everything you could have.
You couldn't get it done there either. So
we even gave you, like, you didn't have to have Juwan Howard as your coach.
Yeah, right.
And we still beat you.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that Hunter said in one of those tweets, though, that really resonates, and I don't know if people really think about it like that, but when he said, you know, Illinois, they act like they're some big-time program. You know what's funny about that? We talk about how close they've been in 89 and 05. Really, that's how close it is. That's the thing that would put everything to bed. If you would have won it in 89 or if you would have won it in 05, especially 05 since it's closer to today, obviously, then that takes away that notion that another team can say, well, they think they're big time, but they've never won it. Or he didn't say that, but he's just said that. You know, that's the reason why you get that close and you want to just make it happen, right?
I know.
Just to validate that, yes, we are one of the best programs in the country. Are we? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, 16th winningest program, I think, in school, in the NCAA, et cetera. You can go on and on. A team that usually is in the top 25, now 4 years in a row with that. But it's like we just have never gone to that next step of winning a title, and I think that would really validate it for everyone. So when Hunter said that, I read that tweet, and I was like, like, I hated reading it, but I was kind of like, well.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, for the newer age recruits and players, they don't see the same type of appeal that the Illinois program has had historically. And, of course, that's what left a lot and added to the sour taste, I think, for Illini fans is, you know, if Bruce Weber would have taken the reins and beyond 2005 turned this into a powerhouse program, I think maybe it would have been easier along the way to forgive Bill Self and be like, you know what, Bill, we loved you and we wanted you to stay here, and we know that you would have brought great players, but we turned out just fine. We can almost say, all right, you did your thing, we did ours. You were part of building this thing up. But because Illinois fell off, they then didn't have. They had even more of a reason to feel jilted.
No, there's no
by
doubt.
Bill leaving. So, I know Illinois wants to and is in the process of establishing back that they're one of the top programs in the country. There are more steps to take. Don't get me wrong. But Brad has gotten you to a point of being consistently nationally ranked.
Great point.
A contender in the top of the Big Ten. So this is going to be really fun. You mentioned in full disclosure. So let's get to the agenda for today's show. So coming up here in a few moments, we're going to play a interview that I did earlier today. I caught up with former Illini assistant, current Kansas basketball assistant Norm Roberts, who was here for the 3 seasons that Bill Self was in Champaign, and that, in my opinion, was a really good interview. We'll see what you guys think, but I'm excited for some of the stories that he told in there about recruiting D. Brown and recruiting James Augustine and piecing together those guys that made up the nucleus of 04-05, but also reliving that first season where I'll admit, and we talked about this a little bit during the interview, it's easy to say, okay, Illinois' opportunities through the years. Of course, 04-05, 1989 with the Flying Illini. But that 01 team, 2001, they didn't get to the Final Four, so maybe it doesn't get pointed to as much. But to lose in the Elite Eight to an Arizona team that you split with during the regular season, I know you covered that team. You loved that team.
Loved it.
That team could have won a title.
No, there's no doubt.
And when you look at Arizona's path beyond that game, they played Michigan State in the Final Four. Illinois had beaten Michigan State in their one matchup during the season. That was a good Michigan State team. They had Jason Richardson. They had Zach Randolph.
Oh, my.
But you get past that game, and Arizona lost to Duke in the title game. Illinois played Duke at the United Center, I believe, earlier that season and lost 78-77.
That's right.
And that was one of the better Duke teams I can remember. Jay Williams, Carlos Boozer. I think it was Shane Battier, Mike Dunleavy Jr. That was a loaded Duke team. Illinois was pretty much, they weren't outclassed by Arizona. They weren't outclassed by Duke that year. They could have very well been the team that got over the hump that season. Of course, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Arizona. That was a great Arizona team, but the 56, 58 free throws was a big deal as well.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's part of the reason that there's still a house in Sullivan that has damage to a wall because of that. So unless the new homeowner fixed that, maybe they did, maybe not. If not, I should go down and autograph it. So here, this was the night. Yeah, I mean, that team was as good as anybody in the country. And they had veterans. They had strengths everywhere. They could shoot. They could rebound. They controlled the ball. They played great defense. I mean,
a ton of front court depth.
Ton. And so that team could match with anybody. And when you have the shooting of guys like Corey Bradford and such, and it was just a well put together, assembled team. And for them to then lose a tough one in Arizona, and it stink when like the officials are kind of part of the story. 89, I don't feel that was the case, although some people feel like Nick Anderson got shoved in the back, by Sean Higgins. But regardless, you've got the 04-05 team with all the fouls on James Augustine. Then you get the 01 team with Arizona, and you've got all those fouls. So this isn't just woe is me. There's actual evidence there of like James Augustine never fouled out of a game. And all of us, I mean, he probably did a couple of times, but all of a sudden he's in foul trouble the entire game. And then that team, while rugged, that 01 team, they never had that many fouls. There were 6 guys fouled out in that game. And then you even go back to 04 when a lot of people think Illinois got the job because they had to play at Kentucky. And that 84 team was a team that could have easily been a Final Four or national championship team. And Dickie Beal traveled essentially down the stretch. No call there at Rupp. It's just amazing I know you can always probably take your losses and tell why, but like if I attribute it, as I see the Steelers, to the Steelers beating my Cardinals in the Super Bowl, that was just a great play. Wow. Ben Roethlisberger made an unbelievable play. San Antonio Holmes made a great catch. There wasn't any officiating issues in that one. But it seems like when you look back on some of these great Illinois teams, the way they finished, it's always got to be something. And that's what's irritating is all get out. So just beat Hunter and just know that, then you see him one day, on vacation and just buy him a drink and be like, dude, I'm sorry we beat you every time. So here's your free drink.
I think down the road, that's
Muhammad, listen, Arizona's still shooting free throws. Yeah.
I think down the road we'll appreciate the villain role that Hunter Dickinson played.
Oh, I do. Oh,
I think
no
if
doubt.
not now, I think for the intrigue and the hype around the game, and
he's
like that,
good.
And he's a really good player. I mean, he scored 31 points, 16 rebounds against Illinois last year in double overtime. So, and now he gets the Bill Self high load that he's going to play in, and a really good point guard, DeJuan Harris, and Kevin McCullough on the wing, and a Naismith Hall of Fame head coach and Bill Self. So, going to be really interesting to see what they do this season. So we got
real quick on that. Has there ever been a better portal fit than Hunter Dickinson at Kansas?
Probably not.
With that high-low. Yeah, keep going. So we got Norm Roberts. I can't wait to hear this.
3:30.
You talked to him earlier.
It's a long interview, and I could have went another 30 minutes. So we're going to get to that here in a little bit. And then at 4:05, Chester Frazier, current Illini assistant, who has battled Bill Self a lot through the years when he was an assistant, of course, with Bruce Weber at Kansas State. And look forward to catching up with him about this game and just how the team looks at this stage in the preseason and with the opener not that far away.
Will he tell me what he said to Eric Gordon when he bumped him?
You can ask him.
I got to, right? We didn't ask him that the last time we had him on. I got to ask him, like, when you did the bump on Eric, did you say anything, or was it just did the bump speak for itself?
Obviously, it didn't hurt Eric enough because Eric's still playing. He played for the Suns last night and was a running mate for KD against the Lakers. But
banked in a 3 that game.
Yeah.
Remember?
To send it to overtime. But Chester really
we're not cursed.
Endeared himself to
yes, he did.
Not that he didn't have other reasons because he was a great leader and a well-liked, gritty, tough player. But that was a moment that people obviously loved. I want to circle back, though, on the note of that 2001 team. It was brought to my attention that maybe another reason to be in the building – and look, I'm not selling tickets here. I'm not profiting from this at all, but former players are going to come.
Oh, sweet.
And I saw a list of Lucas Johnson, Luther Head, Sean Harrington, among others, are expected to be back to support, obviously, Illinois, but also to see their former head coach and Bill Self on Sunday. So that part of it will be really cool, too.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And then Brad Underwood spoke. So
he did.
We're going to hear from him as well. So you talk about having you covered on the Kansas side. We have you covered so much we had to cancel a Kansas guy, Matt Tate, who had joined us for the football game. Matt was going to join us today, but we are booked up. He totally understood. He just said, no worries, guys. We'll do it again. Maybe we'll have him on next week, maybe to touch base on the game and talk a little bit about Kansas as well. But
sounds good.
I'm excited, man. Bill Self. I mean, we're all wondering, right, what it's going to be like.
Local, personal, trusted. Hi, this is Todd Duracon with First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana.
That's the system basically telling me to shut up because we got to catch a break and get to Norm Roberts.
It's got a man. I see in red bold it says manual, but that was automatic.
Well, I need to shut up because I'm ready to listen to Norm Roberts.
Yeah, we need to get to that.
Let's go.
Let's fire that commercial back up, and then we'll get you Norm Roberts on the other side of this break. If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255 on the U of I Atlanta Link text line. This is The Drive.
See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring Surface is your first stop. Amazing selection, price, and style on hardwoods, laminates, carpet, and tile. Low prices on high fashion. Step up the flooring that gets a wow reaction. See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring Surface is your first stop. Flooring Surface is your first stop.
Flooring Surfaces now offers beautiful window fashions. Our interior design team will custom fit shade, shutters, and blinds to any size opening. Visit the showroom to see the latest fashions from Graber and Hunter Douglas, or request an in-home consultation. Whether it's floors or windows, Flooring Surfaces has you covered. See us today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring Surface is your first stop. Flooring Surface is your first stop.
Jay Lehman here, former U of I All-American linebacker. Do you like steak? Do you like red meat? Well, if you do, you got to check out Long Branch Steakhouse. They had phenomenal steaks, sides, salads. I love the onion rings and the fried mushrooms as well as the fried pickles. You've got to check out Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown Gifford. That's right, make the trip to Gifford for some of the best steaks you'll have. Kids love it too. I brought my whole family. I'll see you at Long Branch Steakhouse in downtown Gifford.
Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights, we switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, the Brian Hansen State Farm Agency right here in Champaign-Urbana can switch you over and you can start saving today. Our team is ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. With the Brian Hansen State Farm Agency, it's easy to switch and save. Just give our team a call at 217-344-1900 when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Stevie J Broadcasting is proud to be a part of the Disability Resource Expo coming to Marketplace Mall from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 28th. Up to 100 exhibitors will share information and answer questions regarding resources available to enhance the lives of people with disabilities and seek advice in reaching out for answers. The expo is free and open to the public. Visit disabilityresourceexpo.org.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
Did you know the Anita Purvis Nature Center is a home for live animals? Stop by the Nature Center. View the turtles, owls, snakes, and salamanders. These were orphaned or injured animals who wouldn't be able to survive in the wild, but they help educate the public at the Nature Center. Sponsor an educational animal for as little as $15 a month. And make sure that animal has good food, housing, and medical care. For details, visit urbanaparks.org.
Thinking of selling your home? Today's market is crazy, but one way you can be sure to stand out is by replacing your old flooring with new hardwood. And the best place to do it is Carpet Weavers in Champaign. Carpet Weavers boast the industry's best brands, including Shaw, Mohawk, Paramount, and more. When it comes to natural beauty and a rich quality, nothing beats new flooring from Carpet Weavers. And they have financing options for your budget, so you can always afford the floor you truly want. Increase the value of your home by installing new, high-quality options from Carpet Weavers. Find out more online at carpetweaversflooring.com.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Cannot wait for Sunday, Illinois versus Kansas, of course, for a great cause in the Maui Strong Relief exhibition game at the State Farm Center. And we're going to bring in a former Illini, current Kansas Jayhawks men's basketball assistant, Norm Roberts, on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Norm, thanks a lot for taking the time. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a great time of year. You want to see where your team's at and have them play against somebody else. And for this cause, it's such a worthy cause to help so many people. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And you were here, obviously, with Bill. You've kind of been his right-hand man through many, many years when you were at Oral Roberts in Tulsa, Illinois. Of course, you go to Kansas with him as well and reunited after your time as the head coach at St. John's. But returning to Champaign, I know Bill's been asked about it. For you and for Bill, what does this mean? How's it going to feel when you guys arrive in Champaign?
I don't know because, Coach came back. He came back for the reunion. I wasn't able to get back. I was doing something at St. John's. I had an event that I had to go to at St. John's at the time, so I wasn't able to get back. So I really have not been back since 2003. Wow. So it's been 20 years for me. It'll be different. I know the place has changed so much and grown so much and everything. So it'll be fun to see how the place has grown and changed.
As you think about your time at Illinois, and I want to dive into this. I think a cool dynamic is just hearing the stories, because obviously that was part of a real golden window for Illinois basketball, is that early to mid 2000s, which you guys, your 3 years here and then setting up Bruce Weber and company to lead into 04-05, and you guys being a part of putting that team together. But just kind of big picture, is there anything as you think back on your time at Illinois that sticks out that you think most upon or most proud of?
Well, I think that the thing that was so cool about us coming to Illinois is, we came from Tulsa and we had some great success and went to the Elite Eight, and then we came to Illinois, and it was just a totally different brand of basketball because they were, Lon Kruger left us so many good players, with the Robert Archibalds and the Brian Cooks and the Frank Williamses and Serge and Demir Krapalia and Lucas Johnson, Corey Bradford, so many good guys, Harrington, and they were kind of a veteran team a little bit and had gone through the war, so we had to come in and change a little bit of how we played, but we were really, really fast at Tulsa and playing small ball for the most part, and then had to come to having, 6 guys bigger than 6'9".
Right.
And so we had to play more of a power game, and those kids really adapted to it and did a great job, and obviously Coach did a great job with them, but they were such a close-knit group and really, really good guys that competed that made it a lot of fun.
Norm, I know Illini fans, it's easy, of course, to point to the teams that went to the Final Four. You got the 89 Flying Illini, you got the 04-05 team with Darren, Luther, guys that I want to hit on in terms of recruiting you guys bring into Champaign. But that 2001 team, a lot of fans that obviously experienced that in their heyday will point to that team too and say, man, that team was really, really darn good in their own right. And of course, lost a tough one to Arizona, a team you guys split with in the regular season. They end up going to the championship game and losing to Duke, who you guys only fell to by 1 point earlier in that year. Jay Williams, and what a battle. I wish I was old enough to remember, Frank Williams versus Jay Williams. But I guess what I'm getting to, how good was that 2001 team? I mean, you've been around a lot of good ones. You've won some national titles. As you stack that one up, how good was that team that you coached?
Really, really good. And strong, physical, back when you could really play physical basketball. We had such an inside presence. We had Corey who could really shoot it. Cookie could shoot it. Frank just made play after play. I remember we played Seton Hall that year, and they had a great team too, I believe. And Frank won the game on making like a left-handed floater from like 10 feet. Double overtime. It was an unbelievable team that played so tough. We always felt that had we not played Arizona, we probably definitely would have been in the Final Four.
Yep.
Because we knew each other so good because we played each other in Maui, and then we played them, I think, in Chicago. And so we knew each other so well, and Arizona had such a great team, and that's but that team definitely could have won a national championship. That team definitely could have made it to the Final Four. We just came up a little short, didn't shoot it well in key moments in that game, but every game was a war. And at that time, the Big Ten was an absolute killer. It was a war. Every single game was a battle, and I'm sure it's like that now too. And so, it really, really, really good team.
I want to ask you, to be around Frank Williams on a daily basis. He wins Big Ten Player of the Year that season, ends up getting drafted by the Knicks the following year. What was it like being around Frank, and how much of a talent was he?
Frank was so talented, but he did it in a way that he had really flashy moments, but then there were other moments that you're like, he's good. But then at the end of the game, you would say, God, he's got 17 points and 7 assists and 5 steals. Gosh darn.
Right.
He played good. And Frank was the key to Frank Williams was in the last 5 minutes of the game, put the ball in his hands and let him go make a play. And Coach loved that about Frank. He never shied away from the big moment. Never. And it didn't mean that he was going to score. He could make the pass and let it score. He could defend. He could do so many different things and everything. Frank was he's a winner, but he's one of the toughest competitors I've ever coached in the last 5 to 7 minutes of a game when it's on the line.
Norm Roberts is our guest in the Tapman's Towing phone line. That following season, 2001-02, you had a pretty darn good team. You fall to Kansas in the Sweet 16. You add Luther Head and Roger Powell, who end up being big pillars for Illinois in the future. What do you remember about bringing those guys into that group? That group that you had in 01-02, and then obviously those guys meant a lot in 04-05.
You know, Roger was hurt at first before we even got to see him play.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger turned out to be such a good player. And that, you know, his dad was a great shooter at Illinois State, and Roger was just a solid, rock-solid guy that had to find his way. And you know, he played the threesome out on the perimeter for us, but kind of when he went to that hybrid 4, he became really, really dangerous because he always had to rebound the ball, and he could score the ball, shoot it good, and everything. And Luther was a freak athlete, a freak. I remember he had a dunk with one hand against San Diego State in either the first or the second round of the tournament. That was one of the most impressive dunks I've ever seen because he caught it so high and controlled the ball with just one hand over a 6'10" kid. And, you know, and Luther was another guy. He'd make that face when he'd get mad, and he would come downhill at you the whole time. And, you know, give Luther credit. I mean, he wasn't a great shooter coming out of high school. And then all of a sudden he made himself a terrific three-point shooter and always could defend and always was athletic, and obviously had a good career in the NBA and that stuff. Luther was a great, great kid to be around. Great.
You end up recruiting D. Brown, a McDonald's All-American, and as you know, have been at different spots. You might inherit some talent like you guys did when you first showed up. You get Frank, you get Brian Cook, but then to go out and get that big pillar, that guy that can extend it on into the future, and Bill and your crew was able to do that with D. What do you remember about that recruitment and one that obviously he became and still is one of the most beloved Illini ever?
D will go down as the Piper. Everybody wanted to play with D. And I remember going to Nike camp to watch D play. And he had already committed to us, to come to us. And he's at the camp, and he's telling every big guy, every wing, hey, you better come play with me at Illinois. If you want to be good, you better come play with me. And it is unbelievable. He's an unbelievable competitor. He's another guy that, you know, when the game's on the line, he didn't shy away from the big moments. He was so fast. He told me, James Augustine, okay, we're recruiting, and I said to D, hey, D, and I won't say the other kid's name because he went to another school in Indiana. And I said, D, would you take that kid for James Augustine? And he said, Coach, by far, I'd take James Augustine. James Augustine is so much better than that kid. And I said, well, you played a long time with that other kid. So he goes, I'm telling you, Coach, James Augustine is the guy. And we went and we took James.
Yeah.
And we got James, and James had a great career. James is a funny story about James. James came to our camp, our regular camp. And James was about to, he didn't admit this, he was about to commit to Purdue.
Really?
And James goes, and I call James, and I say to him, hey, James, you think you want to come to our camp? And I'm thinking he's going to say, heck no, I'm a good player. I'm not coming to your camp. Like that. And he goes, hey, wait a second, Coach. Let me ask my mom. And he asks his mom. I hear him yelling to his mom, Mom, Illinois wants us to come down to camp, wants me to come to camp. You think I can go to camp? And his mom goes, yeah, if you want to go, yeah, do it. So he comes to our camp, regular camp. So I'm like, okay, he's coming to camp, Coach. We'll get the stand. And Coach hurt his knee, so he couldn't go walk around camp at that time. Well, I go to see James at registration, and I swear this is true. I go to see James at registration, and I can't find him. He's 6'9", 6'10", and I can't find him. I'm like, where is he? So I'm asking people, hey, have you seen James Augustine? They said he's over there in that crowd. And when I went over to the crowd, I couldn't see him, James was sitting down in like a legs crossed, sitting, and you remember the game Jack, where you bounce the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He's sitting there playing Jack. And I'm like, what is that? I'm like, we're trying to get this guy, and he's down there playing Jack. And then he started playing with the other kids in camp, and you saw like, hey, whoa, wait a second. This guy can run, he can jump, he's a shooter, he's got an unbelievable motor. And then I started seeing it. And James was, but that was all led by D. It was all led by D, and then I go to James's first game, and I get there, and his mom and dad, dad was a football coach, mom was, I think, a swim coach or helped with swimming, sister was a swimmer. So I sit there, and they were the most mild-mannered, sweet people. And the first tip-off, they go down the court, boom, James picks up a foul. And his mom yells out, "Are you kidding me?" Like screaming it. And I'm like, what is going on? Then he goes off and shoots a bad shot or something, and the dad starts yelling. And I'm like, these people are crazy. They're nuts. They were 2 minutes into the game. And then when he had to sit on the bench, the mom and they're like, that's your own fault. They're yelling at him. He sits on the bench. And I'm going, hey, this is our type of guy, Coach, and our type of family. I love these. So they were awesome.
Great stuff there. Norm Roberts, Tapman's Towing phone line. Darren, obviously another huge piece. I know we talked a little bit before this interview talking about Billy Gillispie, identifying him and recruiting him. But I think to go back to what you're saying about D, it probably says something about him, and this has been talked about through the years of him being a point guard, thought of as a point guard, and saying, hey, I'm okay with going and getting another one of those. How big was Darren, and what do you remember about piecing that together?
That was huge. D. Brown recruited Darren. He helped recruit Darren. He did, and made Darren feel comfortable in coming and everything. And Darren, Billy Gillispie knew of Darren, but Billy Gillispie was not on the road at that time. So what happened was I would go out and see Darren and go see him. And every time I came back, I kept saying, hey, he's Jason Kidd with a jump shot.
Ooh.
He's Jason Kidd with a jump shot. Strong, physical, all I say, Jason Kidd with a jump shot. And if you remember Darren, when he first came his first year, he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. He was a bad shooter. And we couldn't believe it because he was such a good shooter in high school. And he didn't shoot it well.
Local, personal, trusted. Hi, this is Todd Durakan with First Federal.
Illini fans, now's the time to shop Game Day Spirit's Maui Strong Collection as you gear up to cheer on your Fighting Illini men's basketball team in their exhibition game against Kansas on Sunday, October 29. Shop from their selection of Champion and Tommy Bahama short sleeve t-shirts with a portion of all proceeds going to the Hawaii Community Foundation Maui Strong Fund. Don't miss the chance to get yours by visiting Game Day Spirit at the corner of Neal and Kirby in Champaign, 6th and Green in Campus Town, or online, GameDaySpirit.com.
Frasca International in Urbana is a legacy founded in 1958 by aviation pioneer Rudy Frasca with a mission of improving safety in the skies. Would you like to make a difference in your job? Frasca is looking for an accountant, a CNC machinist, manufacturing and electrical engineer, and customer service support. Positions for software, aeronautical, mechanical engineer, and machine shop finisher are also available. Positions include an extraordinary benefits package. As an equal opportunity employer, you can learn more at Frasca.com/careers.
Illini fans, fans, take the opportunity to head down to Game Day Spirit's Green Street location, shop their awesome selection of Fighting Illini merchandise. While you're there, shop some of their awesome buy one, get one free t-shirt designs, as well as their Nike section and so much more. With new styles coming in daily, there's sure to be something for every Illini fan. Shop them at the corner of 6th and Green in Campus Town. Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop.
Apologies for that. It's an issue with our new system. My fault.
Sal just said you cliffhangered
I guess it's not my fault technically, but we're working our way through it. We cut middle of that Norm Roberts interview. We're about halfway into it. Let's jump back in. He was talking about Darren and D's ability. Side note, how refreshing is it, or I guess maybe it's going to be frustrating for people, where you hear in recruiting these days, like, what's my role going to be initially? I don't want to. I don't know if I want to go to that school because they got this player.
Right.
He's going to take my role, and I won't be able to play. And D's like, I'm a 5-star McDonald's All-American point guard. Let's go get another point guard so we can win a Big Ten title and go to the Final Four. And
that's unreal.
Norm's talking about D's influence on that recruitment and what he remembers about Darren. So let's jump back in. Here is Norm Roberts.
Yeah, he helped recruit Darren. He did, and made Darren feel comfortable in coming and everything. And Darren, Billy Gillespie knew of Darren, but Billy Gillespie was not on the road at that time. So what happened was I would go out and see Darren and go see him. And every time I came back, I kept saying, hey, he's Jason Kidd with a jump shot.
Ooh.
He's Jason Kidd with a jump shot. Strong, physical, all I say, Jason Kidd with a jump shot. And if you remember Darren, when he first came his first year, he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. He was a bad shooter, and we couldn't believe it because he was such a good shooter in high school. And he didn't shoot it well, but if you remember, he became a great defender. He was like our best defensive guy. We would put him on the other team's best player. And Darren was so physically strong in that stuff, he could guard anybody. But Darren always had a toughness. You know, he wrestled in high school and stuff like that. He always had a toughness and a physicalness about him. The best thing about Darren is he had a chip on his shoulder. He had a chip on his shoulder because he didn't get some of the accolades some of the other guys got. I'm trying to remember the kid's name that went to India. Bracy Wright.
Yep.
Bracy Wright and him were in the same high school. And Bracy got all these accolades, and Darren got some, but he didn't get as much. And it kept a chip on his shoulder. And I'm telling you, he was tough. That was incredible backcourt when we had those two together. I mean, they shared the ball. They could both score. Darren was physical. D was fast. Then you had Luther, who was athletic. I mean, it was a ridiculous three guys together.
Norm, that obviously sets the stage of having guys you feel really, really good about. You won two, both in your first two seasons, won the Big Ten regular season championship, Elite Eight in the first year, Sweet 16 the next year. Bill gets the opportunity to go to Kansas. What do you remember about, I mean, he said it, that it was an emotional deal. It sounds like it was a tough decision for him. That time, as he's making the decision and then shortly after, what do you remember about that and what, you know, the tough part of that he went through and just what the emotions were like back then?
You know, a lot of people, there was a lot of stuff that was said and everything. I'm telling you, it's probably the most emotional thing I've ever seen a person go through from a coaching standpoint and that stuff ever in my life. In that it was an all-day deal. It was going back and forth. I remember we were at Coach's house, and literally we were all down in the basement or downstairs or something, but literally he would come out of a room after talking to whoever, and he'd say, "We're staying. Illinois, staying." Then somebody else would call, he'd go back in the room and talk, blah, 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 come back out, "We're going.
Yep.
We're going." And it was back forth, and I'm telling you, this for about 5-6 hours. It was going back forth, emotional, really, really emotional. And when you think about it, I mean, God, we had that team. We had Charlie Villanueva coming.
Yep.
We were going to be ridiculous how good we were going to be. And it just kept going back and forth. And then Coach decided that we were going to go, that he was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so emotional. And he said, nope, I'm going to try to call every single kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call every single parent. I'm going to call them. And I listen. I didn't listen to all of it, but I listened when he called Dee's mom and everything, and he said to her, I'm going to go to Kansas. And then he said to her, I'm giving you this time to let me have it. Say what you want. Say whatever you want. I'm here to take it. I'm here to listen. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And he had to do that 15 times.
Man.
And that stuff. So it was hard, really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff. And so it was a hard decision to make. But we knew that Illinois, and Coach knew that Illinois was a fabulous job, great people there. We were going to be so good, all those things, but decisions are decisions.
For sure. And obviously the track record and the results speak for themselves. Not to say that, staying in Illinois, as you kind of alluded to, would have been a great option in its own right, but what he's done at Kansas has been phenomenal. So you can't really argue with that one. And I think that through time, Illinois fans have obviously been able to see that. And also, I think they feel pretty good about Brad Underwood being in that seat now. So kind of transitioning to that, it seems like Brad's friendship has helped make Bill feel comfortable about coming back. And how do you think that maybe has changed through the years to where there was maybe a little bit of animosity from Illinois fans, but obviously the way I see it, and I'm speaking for myself here, but I think a lot of people will too, is just to appreciate your guys as part of that, and there's no other way to really look at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, Coach Underwood and Coach are really close. I mean, Coach showed Underwood, he's told me that many a times when he came to visit Oklahoma State. I think Bill was the coach and everything. So they've known each other for many, many years, and they really, really respect each other and what each other's been able to do. And Coach Underwood's done such a good job there with his staff and everything. So I think that has been that way. It's made it better over time. We the year that we won the national championship, we played in Chicago. James Augustine came by to see us. We hadn't seen James in a while. He came by. Aaron Spears came by to see us.
Mm-hmm.
We stay in touch with Frank. When Coach stays in touch with us, Corey Bradford stays in touch with me, my family, Coach, and everything. Lucas Johnson, obviously, he's not with us anymore. But Robert Archibald had been back to see us many a times and come and actually spent time out here at Kansas with us and everything. And Sean Harrington being out here. So there's so many ties and pulls that came from Illinois that still to this day we stay in close contact with.
For sure.
Sergio, all that stuff. We're always going to be family, no matter what. We're family if we're at Illinois. We're family if we're at Kansas. We're always family because there's always that connection, that bond.
Absolutely. Norm, I could keep you all day. I don't want to. I want to ask you a couple of more. You mentioned and you recruited Charlie Villanueva, and that goes down a path for Illini fans to think about what could have been. Of course, I'm imagining as somebody that recruits and pieces teams together, you've taken that step through your mind probably as well. What do you think that future could have looked like with Charlie in the mix, and then what you guys could have done in terms of bringing more talent to Illinois?
Oh, it would have been ridiculous. It would have been ridiculous. Charlie would have been that piece to play with James, to play with Roger, and those. It would have been unbelievable the way he could stretch the floor and that stuff. We would have had obviously a great chance to win it all and everything if everything fell right. I would tell you this funny on Charlie's visit. Charlie came to visit. When he came, we go to the football game, and you remember the restaurant Charlie's?
Yes.
The steak place, something like that. Well, I guess they're flying their banner across, over top of the stadium, around the stadium. Somebody's got a plane and it's going around Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie looks up in the sky and sees it. And he taps me and he goes, Coach, man, you guys really went all out today. what? Look at that. And I was like, yeah, Charlie, that's all for you, Charlie. He has no idea about the restaurant. It was great, but it would have been terrific getting him, and obviously it would have helped us even more to get more talent down there.
Yep. I do want to ask you, I mean, you've been around Bill a long time, and he's known as one of the best recruiting head coaches, you know, in my lifetime within the last number of decades. And I just know, you know, from what I remember about him at Illinois, just his charisma for the fans is something that they ate up. I imagine the recruiting was something that was huge. What's made him such a good recruiter, a guy that the guys want to play for? And it obviously has continued on through a number of decades and now is still going.
Well, I think what's made him great is that he does what he says he's going to do. He's upfront and honest with the kids, where you are, where it stands. But one of the key things about being here at Kansas or wherever coaches coach, he believes this wholeheartedly, that he never wants a player to ever leave here after playing for him or our staff and say that we did not give our all to make them as good as they possibly can be on and off the court.
Mm-hmm.
Does not matter. We want them to be the best provider, father they can be later on in life. We want them to be the best player they can be in life, be the best student they can be in life. And Coach harps on that with his guys. And I do believe that helps us in recruiting, but the track record of him doing that has been very, very good. And the other thing is he can go into any situation, scenario, and make everybody in the room feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Does not matter where he is. It could be a foreign kid. It could be a kid from Chicago. It could be a kid from the Midwest, Iowa. It does not matter. He will go in there and make everybody feel comfortable in our conversations and what we're trying to do.
Norm Roberts, assistant at Kansas, former Illini, of course. Last one for you, I promise. On Sunday, what can Illini fans expect out of your squad in terms of you're the number one team in the country, obviously, AP Top 25. What should Illini fans, I know they're familiar with Hunter Dickinson and look forward to seeing him again, but what do you got working with this team and what can Illini fans expect?
Well, I think we're still in the early stages like everybody.
Yep.
Nobody's ready to play a game right at this point in time. But it is good to play against somebody else to get a feel and get a look for who you are. I think we're going to be a team that wants to play fast. It's going to be a team that, we're going to play inside out without a doubt with a terrific player like Hunter. We have DeJuan Harris, who's a terrific point guard, a set-up point guard, an old-school point guard that plays on both ends of the floor. We've got Kevin McCullers, who is about as versatile of a forward as there is, the guard as there is in the country, and we're looking for him to be more aggressive offensively. KJ Adams is a kid who's about 6'7", who was the most improved player in our league last year, explosive athlete. And then we brought in some new pieces of young guys that that are going to be really good in time and can do some good things. So I think we're going to be a team that's going to be very good. Like I know you've been in the business a long time. Preseason polls don't mean anything. We don't care about that. Mm-hmm. It's nice to have number one next to your name, but we know it's a long journey. It's a long journey, and Illinois' team that plays on Sunday against us will not be the same team you'll see in March.
Right.
And the Kansas team you'll watch on Sunday will definitely not be the same team you'll see in March. There's a process that everybody's got to go through of growth and those things. So I think it'll be really, really competitive. It'll be a lot of fun. Obviously, it's for a great cause, but it's also going to help both of our teams learn kind of who we are at this point and what we need to do to get better.
Norm Roberts, this was awesome. Thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. Thank you for the stories. Those were phenomenal, and I wish you guys luck going forward. Enjoy your time back in Champaign. I'll say this: you guys deserve a great embrace, and I hope it's satisfying for you guys to step back in that building. And can't wait for the action on Sunday.
Love the Orange Crush. Love them. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Wow. one thing that probably you could explain about me and my career in the media is that I'm always taking funny jabs. Like, I'm always doing that. And it's normally out of respect. I've always said if I'm taking jabs at you, Kyle, that means I really like you and I think that you do a great job. I can't even go to a jab on that. That is, if not one of the best interviews I've ever heard. And Norm Roberts has a lot to do with that,
of course,
obviously.
yeah.
But the way you story told that and led him through his career here, the players, it shows you how much interest. Number one, I was like I'm just sitting there hanging on every answer that Norm Roberts had, which shows you as an Illini fan how much interest we still have in that. But to take us behind the closed doors of what was happening the day that Bill Self was making the decision on whether or not to go to Kansas and leave. And
I want to talk more about that before the show's done.
Yes. The funny story with Charlie Villanueva and all those guys. I mean, yeah, that Charlie's freaking. I looked at you and I'm like, it's the only time I think I talked during the whole. Well, I was talking during the interview because he'd say something. I'm like, Luther made himself into a good shooter. And you're like, hold on. And he's like, Luther made himself. And I'm like, he did, man. I was like right there. Like he was the preacher, Norm Roberts. And I was in my pew going, speak. Yeah. So, yeah, well done.
Thank you.
That is an incredible interview that I think we should play sometime soon again. I mean, I would hate it if anybody missed that. Yep. And I know some people have missed that, but obviously we'll podcast that. We need to put that on separate, Kyle, because that thing alone is wonderful. So congratulations on that. I know our buddy Matt Lang, who joins us sometimes, he texted me and he's like, Piper is amazing in this interview. Then he said, holy snot.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Norm was the goods, man. He
good.
brought the stories. I just guided him through it. That was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. I've been in the industry, media for about a decade, and that was as captivating. I sat back there and just smiled at some of the answers and laughed, and it was great. I was enjoying the ride as much as anybody out there listening. So that was a lot of fun to do. Speaking of which, I think we're going to have fun talking to Chester Frazier, Illini assistant.
Go.
Coming up next. Stick with us. This is The Drive.
Day when we stop making loans, but at Iroquois Federal, we never stop making a difference. Thanks to an amazing team of employees who give back to their local communities all over Central Illinois. From hospital boards and local school programs to Kiwanis and the United Way, Iroquois Federal employees donated more than 1,000 volunteer hours last year. And we'll do it again next year, because the only thing we like more than making a loan is making a difference. Iroquois Federal, still friendly, still local, still here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Every year on November 11th, the United States of America proudly celebrates Veterans Day. And at Muhammad Christian Church, we are very grateful for the men and the women who protect and preserve our freedom, and we recognize all veterans and salute our armed forces every day of the year. And this year, allow us to make those days special as we present the Muhammad Christian Church 18th Annual Living Flag. And you are cordially invited to join us as we are celebrating life, liberty, and the freedom of worship with our award-winning Living Flag celebration. This year, we are presenting our Living Flag on Friday, November 3rd at 7 p.m., Saturday, November 4th at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock, and our finale, Sunday, November 5th at 5 p.m. And in our lobby after each performance, as you greet and thank our veterans and our active military, we will be serving dessert and refreshments. Muhammad Christian Church, 908 North Lake of the Woods Road, across from the Lake of the Woods Golf Course. And for more information, please visit muhammadchristian.org.
Hey, John, remember when Dick Van Dyke had their one-day-only New Year's Day sale?
And people looked forward to it all year long.
Well, between ice storms, that must-see College Bowl game, and travel plans.
And a terrible headache from the night before.
Yeah, well, that 6-day sale does end today.
Not much time left, but plenty of value.
Including the big brands like GE, Frigidaire, Electrolux, Speed Queen, and Bosch. Price like you'll never see again for another 12 months.
Washers and dryers starting at $469.99. Ranges starting at $579.99. Most of the appliances they offer are backed by their free 10-year protection plan.
So drive carefully, set the DVR, bring the family.
And knock back a pot of coffee if you need to.
Because that 6-day sale does end today at Dick Van Dyke.
This is Dennis Regan, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Today is the final day of savings on everything. Your best New Year's sale deal is waiting for you today. Wow!
Big Bad Guy, Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Whether your regular beauty counter has disappeared or you want a beauty refresh, then it's time to visit Merle Norman. Beautiful changes happen every day at Merle Norman. Whether you have a special event coming up or you're just in the mood for something new, you can depend on Merle Norman Cosmetics to satisfy all your beauty needs. From advanced skincare solutions to the latest looks and color, we're locally owned and ready to help you with expert guidance and award-winning products. No wonder we've been the go-to brand for millions of women since 1931. Visit us today at 706 West Market View Drive over by Subway. At Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people with amazing service, great design advice, and unbeatable selection and the best prices in town. It's the perfect time to update your home with waterproof flooring, carpet, hardwood, tile, and more. Then complete your rooms by shopping our incredible selection of furniture and accessories. We also offer great financing options. Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people.
Bang, bang, bang.
It is The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Lante, Kyle Tosk.
Well done with Coach Roberts, man. That was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I was excited about that one. Excited about this one, too.
Heck yeah.
Hopping back on the Tapman's Towing phone line, bringing in current Illini basketball assistant Chester Frazier. Chester, how you doing? Thanks for joining the show.
I'm doing well, man. How you guys doing?
We are doing great. I got to ask it right off the bat. You've been asked 100,000 times, Chester, but it came to me again today, and I looked at Pipes. I'm like, I got to ask him, when you did the infamous bump on Eric Gordon, did you say anything to him? Were there any words, or was the bump enough?
The bump was enough. People make a big deal out of that, man. You know what? I did everybody like that year. His was a little bit extra, but I kind of gave everybody that.
The bump said 1,000 words.
Yes.
You didn't bump him too hard because obviously he's still playing.
Yeah, I know, right? Damn, I watched him last night. He was playing well, too.
How are things going, Chester? Just personally, is everything – I know you're ready for basketball to start going, but everything else all in good place?
Yeah, I like where we're at, man. We're doing well. Getting ready for Sunday, man.
Let's go.
On that note, what are you looking for in this type of exhibition game? You guys had the close scrimmage against them last year. Of course, more eyeballs on this one. I know we're excited about that. Coaches, I think, sometimes like that controlled environment. But what are you looking for out of the squad and just the opportunity to play the top-ranked team in the country?
Well, just how well we handle some adversity. We haven't really, we haven't faced any adversity yet as a group. Obviously, leading up from Spain and then playing Ottawa, we haven't hit any adversity, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing us play against somebody, it's going to really give us a real test and a challenge with some legit size and athleticism. And then we'll learn a little bit about ourselves, man. Just starting to put combinations together, seeing what guys fit and what certain guys can do in hostile situations.
I know a lot of people coming off of Friday talking about Marcus Damask. My good friend Lante knows all about him, being a former Saluki. But what did you see out of Marcus? What have you seen out of him this fall? It looks like a piece that obviously versatile, good passer that can really help you.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus is, obviously has a ton of experience, man, older guy. He's seen a lot of basketball plays, and you can't speed him up. I mean, he's seen a lot of plays. He knows what he's doing out there. Like you said, he's very versatile. You can play him anywhere in the backcourt. Kind of play a 1 through 4 type of guy. So, really, really good piece for us because he can make shots and he can also pass and handle the basketball.
On the heels of that, Chester, with regards to the experience that you mentioned with Marcus Damask, you now have a team that is loaded with veterans, loaded with experience. Obviously, you had more youth last year, one of the youngest teams in college. Now you're one of the older teams. What is that like to coach? I mean, is it just that apparent when those guys get together to practice that it's like, yeah, these guys have been doing this a long time?
Yeah, I think the blend of our experienced guys. I mean, we talk about Quincy Gary has been in college 5 years, Terrence Shannon 5 years, Domas 5 years, Justin Harmon 5 years.
Wow.
You've got a lot of guys. Luke Goody 3rd year, Coleman Hawkins in his 4th year. So you have a ton of guys, that have been through the ringer. Even you count Dane Danger. He sat out at Baylor, played a half a year, came in with us.
Right.
So he's in his 4th year of college basketball. So, our guys are, like you said, we've got an experienced group, and that's what you look for. To bring those young guys along, to have those veterans in the locker room that can show them the way.
Sure.
And then, at some point, clip their wings, and they'll be ready to fly as well.
Absolutely. Chester Frazier, our guest here on the Tapman's Towing phone line. I want to ask you this, because I told Pipes I would have sleepless nights, not because of the roster of what you guys have in terms of being bad. It is stinking good. And we're talking good 1 through 11 or more. How in the world are you guys going to figure this out as to when everybody should play?
Well, you know what, man? The whole goal of this thing is to win basketball games. We have a ton of guys who have earned the right to play.
Right.
And like I said, games like tomorrow will show you, the cream will rise to the top. It's competition, man. So, guys, you got to play hard. You can't make mistakes. So that next guy next to your left and your right is going to be nipping at your minutes, man. So, we haven't had to deal with, the entitlement or the attitude. So, I think it breeds competition, man. We have, like you said, we have 12 guys that can all go in a game. As a head coach, I'm pretty sure that's hard, to look at and say, well, it's 200 minutes, man. How I'm going to divvy these minutes up to keep everybody happy. But at the end of the day, man, like I said, it's not about people's feelings at this point. It's about winning ball games. And how do you impact winning? And it may not be scoring. That may be something different, or it may be scoring, or it may be rebounding. It may be whatever the team needs this game. Because it could be different for every guy in certain games. You may say, okay, well, I need somebody to guard. I may need somebody to make shots, and that could be a different guy. So the luxury is that you do have those pieces. The biggest piece is that, guys are going to have to sacrifice.
Yeah, great answer.
Chester, I'm sure everybody out there wants to talk about point guard and how you seeing Ty Rodgers come into that position, and you being someone that's been in those shoes before. How maybe can your experiences help him, and what do you think the steps are in terms of climbing the ladder to be the type of point guard that you guys want him to be?
Well, the thing about it is we use that term so, matter of fact, he's a basketball player. Ty's a basketball player. You don't want to put too much on him. This is his first full-time, rodeo in college basketball playing point guard. So there's going to be some bumps in the road for him, man. We got to realize that, and we learn to pick him up when he's down, and also ride him when he's playing well, man. So I think you're looking at a kid who physically could be imposing at that position. Obviously with his physical abilities to get in the paint, get 2 feet in the paint, could also post some smaller guards. And now you're just talking about managing the game and making good decisions with the basketball. So. You pair that with the winning attributes he has. He's a rebounder. He's a willing defender. Now you're cooking with gas. So we're not asking him to come down and make every play. He'll grow into that, but we're asking him to take care of the basketball, get us in our stuff, defend, rebound, and the rest of his stuff. Rest of his game will shine through if he does those things.
At that position, you'll see an all-league guy on the other side on Sunday, and DeJuan Harris, who's the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. What challenge can he present, and just how much is that going to be maybe a growth opportunity for Ty, or if Nico's out there, Draven, and just getting a chance to see someone that is a pretty high-level player at that position?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy who's won a lot of games at the college level. I mean, the kid, he's not even a 10-point-a-game scorer, but he impacts winning at such a high level, man. it'll be a challenge. Like I said, because he's run a team for 3 years or whatever, however long he's been in college. He's a really good basketball player. I think it'll be good for Ty because he's gonna defend Ty. He's gonna be sticky on the ball. He's handsy. He gets a lot of steals. He also dictates tempo and pace. So it'll be good. I mean, you talk about a consummate college point guard. He's it. So I think it'll be fun to see our guys step up and guard him and challenge him. And then on the other end, he's got to come down and guard our guys too. So I look at it both ways.
Chester, maybe bigger picture just on Kansas and Bill Self, a team and a coach you've battled plenty of years there when you were at Kansas State there in the Big 12. What kind of comes to mind when you think about a Bill Self team and what those have been through the years?
Flashbacks. No, they're going to play hard. They're going to compete, man. You know what you're getting out of a Bill Self basketball. The years at K-State when I thought they were down, they end up winning the league. So, the staple and what they do, they rebound the basketball. They're going to play extremely fast on the offensive end. So they manufacture easy baskets in transition. In the half court, they're very disciplined. They run their sets with pace. A lot of dribble drive concepts, ball screens. And obviously now getting back to having an elite center, I expect to see his infamous 2 game, which is, high-low, post-up basketball with Hunter. So this team won't shoot it like he's had in years past, but I guarantee they'll play hard, rebound, and do all those little things that he's accustomed for Kansas basketball teams to do.
Just a few more with Chester Frazier. My guy Derek Piper knows that I love nothing more in sports than rebounding. And when a team can rebound, I'm all about it. I think it leads to victories. I feel like this Illinois team should dominate on the boards. I mean, from Amani Hansberry up, it seems like this team ought to be able to rebound at a high level. How important is that? I know that's kind of a dumb, pretty simplified question, but how important is it when you know going into games that you can control that stat line the best in terms of rebounding?
Yeah, I mean, we have positional size at a lot of spots, and we have proven rebounds. Quincy Guerrier at Syracuse was a 7-8 rebounding game guy. Dane Danger can rebound the basketball. Amani Hansberry is an elite rebounder. We have Ty Rodgers, who's a proven rebounder. So we have guys out there that are proven rebounders. And then I think our guards and wings will also mix it up and rebound the basketball. So that's the last assignment on defense. So you get a stop, you got to finish it with a rebound. That's assuring to know that we're going to get these guys to play really hard. And when the ball goes up in the air, we have a better chance to get it than the other team, and that's refreshing.
Perfect.
Chester, Justin Harmon, to touch on him a little bit more, maybe a lesser-known guy in terms of the transfers. Guerrier playing at the high major level for 4 years. Damask, people that has been within the state, getting more familiar with him. What are you expecting out of Justin, and what role can he step into for you guys this year?
Well, you saw in the scrimmage, man. He can make open shots. He's also a guy that can get downhill with the basketball. He's strong physically. So he can guard multiple positions. And he's an older guy, like I said, man. He scored real college baskets. So, I think he's a guy that can provide some scoring punch, some defense. He's a tough kid. Obviously, being a Chicago kid, he's a tough kid. So, and he's a vet. He's done this before. So we're expecting big things out of Justin. I think he's a really good downhill basketball player, and it's not always with speed. He's really strong, man. That kid, he gets in a straight line and you get on his hip, he ain't letting you back in front. So, you obviously, you guys know what you're going to get out of Terrence Shannon and, Coleman and some of these other guys, but he's a guy that can, really efficiently score the basketball.
Chester, last one for you. Is Cam tearing you up in the pop shot over at the house?
No, not quite, man. Little fella's got a ways to go before he can beat me, but he does have he is playing his first game this season at the YMCA tomorrow. So,
nice.
Hopefully I get there in the morning and I get ready for practice after that.
There you go. We'll let you go. Gear up for that one. Best of luck.
And real quick, Chester, as a father who has a son that graduated college and one that's in high school, you are about ready to have the best time of your life watching that little guy go.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to his journey, man. I appreciate it. It's definitely not easy because he's getting to the age where he asks a ton of questions. He watches film with me, and he wants to know everything. So it can get annoying at times, but he's my boy, and he loves the game. So he's been around it, man. I bring him to practice sometimes, so it's all fun, man. He's soaking it all in.
I love it.
Chester, best of luck to Cam tomorrow. I don't think he'll need it. And then on Sunday, can't wait to see the action that's going to take place at the State Farm Center. Thanks for taking the time out, and look forward to seeing you on Sunday, man.
Yes, sir. Let's do it, man. I appreciate you guys.
All right,
thank
buddy.
you, Chester.
Thank you.
Chester Frazier on the Tapman's Towing phone line.
You know the best part of that interview was the laugh. The Chester Frazier laugh came out, and I don't remember exactly what he was talking about, but it was like that, ha, or something. I'm like, yes, that's awesome.
I had to hit him with that one at the end.
That was great, man. That was awesome.
If you follow him, especially on Instagram, he always posts pictures of or videos of his son Cam,
the Cam man, going
through some whether it's shooting on a real hoop or he's got a little like pop shot thing maybe in the basement now. And Chester does not take it easy on him. He's even posted some videos of beating him, and like Cam has got some tears in his eyes. Having that as your dad, man, that's Chester is so competitive, but also obviously a great knowledge of the game, and that I'm glad you said that, obviously, and I'm hoping to experience that here going forward in the years with my son.
You guys see me. I mean, I'm counting down the days to basketballs, and I'm just – it's just unbelievable. I told somebody the other day because Andrew played golf, and then now we're in this little lull for a month before basketball kicks off, around Thanksgiving. Obviously, they'll have practice starting the 6th, but – it is this lull that makes me think there's no way I'm going to be able to do this in 2 years. When Andrew graduates, I hope I hope that he plays college something, because otherwise I am going to be so bored and not have anything to do and nor have anything to look forward to than that. And by the way, my last thing, I want to apologize to my boys, because while I had them in the basement and Philo shooting on a little Nerf hoop, I couldn't take them like Chester does to the State Farm Center and just say, hey, kids, this is your playground today. Right. Cam, go have fun in the State Farm Center. It's like, I wasn't able to provide that. Yeah, that's a
nice benefit.
It's a nice luxury. You need to get Cade with Cam. How old's Cam? He's got to be,
question.
6?
Yeah.
I mean, he'd probably be like if they're playing games, Yeah,
I know Cade's taller than most 3-year-olds, even though he's 1.5. But it's a little too advanced.
Well, and Chester Frazier's son's not going to take it easy on your son.
No.
So
he might even chest bump him. I don't know if my kid's got that good enough balance.
Cade's like, what the?
He's got long limbs. He can run just fine. He might be knocked on his butt.
He just looks at you with these tears in his eyes. You're like, okay, sorry about that, Cade. I didn't know he was going to do that. Yeah, you did.
I should have seen that coming a mile away.
That's awesome. Good stuff with Chester.
Fun
I'm
interviews,
excited.
Yep.
Excited to have him as part of this program as well. And it is that deal where we talk about how you mentioned like when Bill Self got to Kansas, and he had a couple rocky starts, in NCAA play and everything, but as he was elevating and Kansas was winning national championships is exactly as Illinois was going the other direction. And that you said perfectly in the first hour, how that really was the part that just fed the anger, right? Yes. I mean, initially we were shocked with Bill Self leaving. We were mad. You feel betrayed. You feel like you're not worthy, right? Like, oh, so you can't coach here when you're obviously having a lot of success. And then for that to happen, then it just made it even more frustrating, right? But it's nice that, and then of course with the Gross years that didn't materialize to anything, and then now with Brad Underwood, and I understand totally that Brad shouldn't be off the hook yet because he's got work to do, and we all know when. But to be back to where Illinois is thought of as a top of the Big Ten team, a team that is going to win 20 games, essentially, a team that can battle a schedule that is about to be in front of them, which is I haven't looked. I don't know the analytics and all this, but it has to be one of the top 10 toughest schedules in the country. I can't imagine that others would have that hard of a non-conference schedule with Marquette, even throwing Kansas in as an exhibition game. So it's nice to know that you're back playing with the big boys. Now, there's still got to be some rewards at the end. We understand that.
Of course.
But certainly to be back at least to where you can have some hopes of a season, because there was a long time there, 10 years we didn't go to was it 10 years they didn't go to an NCAA tournament?
It felt like it. I think
Maybe it
ended up
10.
being
6
6 or 7.
It felt like 38. I can't tell you how lonely that feeling was on Selection Sunday when your team isn't in it. And you sit down and, da-na-na-na-dun-dun-dun-dun. We're going to break down the seeds, and you're like, well, I have no interest because my team's not going to be there. That's hard. That was hard. Let's don't do that again.
I would say for sure. And as things stand right now, Illinois is in a position where it won't be a long drought for an NCAA tournament, and they should stack the consistency of making the tournament pretty much each and every year. And Brad has an opportunity to do that this year. And I mean, with the portal, it makes it
does
easier to reload, and obviously they've taken advantage of that. So the program's in a good position, and to get back, of course, is another level, which would be early to mid 2000s, the 80s type of deal. But as far as the progression, it's been a positive thing for Illinois. And hey, they show well on Sunday. If they were to beat number 1 Kansas, I know it doesn't count, it would give people a lot of confidence that this could be the breakthrough year in terms of the tournament. A lot of basketball still to be played, but that would show you could play with anybody.
I give Kyle assignments all the time. I've got one for you. Sometimes you'll click on, let's say, Yahoo or ESPN, and there's like a 20-page article that dives into something. I want a 20-page article from Derek Piper on the basement and the decision.
I want to write a book on it, too. I wanted to be part of a book.
And if you didn't hear the interview with Norm Roberts,
we got to talk about that.
Yes.
I want to talk more about that.
Which we can take a break and come back. Yep. I know we're going to hear from Brad Underwood, not live, but he met with the media. But first of all, if you did not get a chance to listen to the Norm Roberts interview that Derek did with him earlier today, I will honestly say this. It is either the or one of the best interviews I've ever heard. So you make sure you have, and I've listened to a lot of interviews sitting right here in this seat, so make sure you go back and podcast that and listen to that interview. But in it, Norm Roberts, you asked Norm about the grueling, the decision essentially to go to Kansas, and what he talked about was it was like a 6-hour process of just continuously changing their minds. Like, we're staying at Illinois. Now we're going to Kansas. And you got to believe that. I don't think Norm's going to sit there and lie about something like that. He's not going to make that up. So, and there was a lot of reasons for Bill to stay. I mean, just start naming the kids on that team.
Exactly.
And who was coming. I mean, there are tons of reasons for Bill and that staff to stay here, but
I'm not saying that part of that interview isn't a little painful.
Oh, it is.
For Illini fans to hear, but it's telling, and I think a lot of the details in there are pretty.
How many times did I tell you to turn it off?
I know you did.
I was like, turn it off right now. I don't want to hear this.
I know we're having issues with, number one, I should have mentioned this earlier in the week. Because of our system, we're not able to replay our first hour from 5 to 6. So if you've been looking for that, say you get off work at some time between 4 and 5, and you're like, okay, I'll hear the first hour from 5 to 6. Right now, we're not able to play that, but I'm going to stay and play the Norm Roberts interview again at 5:05 in case you missed that, just for the people getting off work then or now to get a chance to hear it. So we're going to do that.
He was incredible. At first, I'm like, I'd love to hear from Bill Self. I'd love for us to talk to Coach. Don't get me wrong. Now that I've heard that interview with Norm Roberts, I think I would have rather just had Norm, because Bill's not going to go into that much depth, I don't think. Now, maybe he would. Maybe one day when he retires. There was Norm Roberts, Billy Gillespie. Who was the other assistant?
It ended up becoming Wayne McLean, but I don't think it was the first year.
It was a blonde dude, and I cannot think of his name. He was a blonde-haired guy, kind of fit. I just can't. I can't think
And then
of
at
his
one
name.
point, I think after I was talking about this with Derek Burson over there at Oven today. Was it after Gillespie left that then Tim Jankovic came in
I
as an
believe that's
assistant?
right.
And of course, he ended up being a coach at ISU
Yes.
and then SMU at one
Yep,
point.
that's right. Tim Jankovic.
Oh, Rob Judson.
Well, Rob Judson, that's right.
This is Wikipedia, which
Got it.
take it for what it's worth. Bill Self is the head coach, assistants Rob Judson, Norm Roberts, Billy Gillespie.
Okay. Then it's not Rob I'm thinking about. Maybe that was there must have been this guy must have been like the fifth coach. Does that make sense? I just can't think of his name. Mike Shepard. That's it, Mike.
Okay.
Mike Hagan. Good call, Mike.
Mike Shepard.
Mike knows everything. Mike Shepard. That's exactly who it was. Nice guy. Really nice guy. And I always used to look at him and I'm like, boy, you're riding some really good coattails. Really good coattails, coach. And he would laugh.
That was a good staff that Self had, man. I had forgotten.
Oh, he was with Lon. That's who it was. Okay, thank you, Mike. I'm sorry. He was with Lon Kruger. My bad.
Now, I know
My bad.
Gillespie didn't pan out at Kentucky and had his own issues, but to be a really good recruiter and assistant, that was obviously something he thrived at. Norm Roberts, I actually had forgotten that he was the head coach at St. John's for 6 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the one time he broke away. I mean, think about that. Billy Gillespie was the head coach at Kentucky.
I know.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I think the stress got to him there. And we understand he had some demons, obviously. And he's worked on those and I think continues to work on those. He's coaching now at a small school in Texas, I believe.
I think that's right. Yep.
I think the next thing we do is get Coach Gillespie on.
Just
and keep the stories rolling.
Let's do the reunion tour.
Let's go.
And I'll compile all the interviews, and then I'll have a book that comes out in 2025.
I said I want Villanueva on, and I looked at Twitter, and his DMs are open.
Yeah. Kyle's already locked him up.
Charlie Lon. Good to see you again. No, I never met him.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Say you're a part owner in O'Charlie's.
That story.
That's how you should intro the DM. Hey, Charlie, I part owner of O'Charlie's here in Champaign.
I was the one that paid for the plane. So, wondering if you could at least do an interview with us since I had to
She
pony
didn't actually
up.
play basketball for the Illini.
I had to pony up a lot of money for that plane.
Yep.
That is so funny.
That was good stuff. All right, we got to catch a break. On the other side, we'll talk a little bit about that decision, and then we'll get to Brad Underwood, who spoke to the media earlier today. If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255 on the U of I Illini Link text line. This is The Drive.
As a legacy founded in 1958 by aviation pioneer Rudy Frasca with a mission of improving safety in the skies. Over 60 years later, Frasca is committed to providing the best simulation equipment available with superior quality and a personal approach to service and support. Would you like to make a difference in your job? Frasca is looking for an accountant, a CNC machinist, manufacturing and electrical engineer, electronics design associate, and customer service support. Positions for software, aeronautical, mechanical engineer, and machine shop finisher are also available. Positions include an extraordinary benefits package. The perfect fit will enjoy full-time benefits with paid time off, holidays, a 401k, and a Monday through Friday schedule. For details, call 217-344-9200. As an equal opportunity employer, you can learn more about the application process at frasca.com/careers.
Urbana's Market at the Square has been cultivating a vibrant scene in CU since 1979. Get to know your farmers bringing locally harvested honey, crafts, jewelry, art, fresh cut flowers, plus produce including fresh leafy greens and root vegetables, fresh baked treats, and a wide selection of proteins. Going on now, every Saturday, 7 a.m. till noon, rain or shine at Illinois and Vine, it's Urbana Market at the Square. Find Urbana Market on Facebook or urbanamarket.org.
By now, you've all heard the expression, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 for PDR Automotive. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR. But who are they? They, the PDR staff, understand that a name is only as good as the people that represent it. The PDR staff has more than 335 years of combined automotive experience, several employees now on staff for more than 25 years. PDR, more than just a name. Family owned and operated, now celebrating over 50 years in business.
Escape to the country at Curtis Orchard in Southwest Champaign. as the kids enjoy the playground and the petting zoo and the country store at Curtis Orchard, featuring delicious apple cider, apple crisp donuts and pies, your favorite comfort foods made from scratch at the Flying Monkey Cafe. Come visit Curtis Orchard. Open now Monday through Saturday 9 to 6 and on Sundays 11 to 6. 3902 South Duncan Road in Champaign at curtisorchard.com.
Always a pleasure to talk about Donnie up at Long Branch Steakhouse here in beautiful downtown Gifford. Well, you know what, friends? It's never too early to make your Christmas party reservations at the Long Branch Steakhouse in Gifford. They are taking party reservations for December. 2 nights already gone. Don't be left out this year. If you want a fabulous night at the Long Branch for your office party, get it done now. Connect with the Long Branch Steakhouse and book your Christmas party. Long Branch Steakhouse, beautiful downtown Gifford. Hi, it's Stevie J. So I took my mom into Audibel, owned by Jeff Hanley, who owns 13 locations around central Illinois. She's had so much trouble hearing for so long. Audibel, Audibel, for hearing. And some of the new technologies, they've got AI now for some of these hearing aids, and they're virtually invisible. It's unbelievable, and it helped my mom. It helped her incredibly. We've been to other places. This is by far the best place I've ever been in for hearing help. Go to audibelteam.com. That's Audibel. If you want more information about Audibel and how Jeff Hanley and his amazing culture and amazing team that they have, go to audibelteam.com. That's Audibel, audibelteam.com. You'll be so happy you found Audibel. Amazing work. They got a location in Champaign. Go to audibelteam.com. That's audibelteam.com.
Say goodbye to redness and hello to happy skin. Merle Norman's new Red Correct Treatment Primer is a science-based color care formula containing over 20 corrective ingredients that help calm and soothe sensitive skin. This is a multi-purpose facial primer that turns from green to beige when massaged into skin. Use it to help color correct red areas, decrease sensitivity, and prep skin for makeup application. Shop Red Correct Treatment Primer now at Merle Norman, 706 West Marketview Drive in Champaign.
Local, personal, trusted. Hi, this is Todd Durakan with First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana, and we've been serving Champaign County since 1908. Our institution is safe, strong, and stable. We operate on a foundation of responsible and sound practices, and you can rest easy knowing we're your bank. Rated 5-star superior by Bauer Financial Inc., fast, friendly, and local, with local loan decisions and underwriting. If you're not already banking with us, give us a try, and we think you'll love it here. First Federal Savings Bank, 356bank.com, member FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS 435120.
If you need a new business sign or signage for your golf outing, we can do it and help you get noticed. Hi, this is Kirk Lehman, owner of Aftershock Decals and Design, and we can produce any kind of signage you want with our graphic design team. You want a custom design? We are here for you, and we are easy to work with, I promise. So visit us at AftershockDD.com to get a quote and get noticed. That's AftershockDD.com. Get noticed.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Lante is teaching me baseball history during the break.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just continue that conversation on the air.
David Freese.
I can hear that. That would be the 1,000,001th.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Million first time I've heard it.
Oh,
I get chills every time.
Every time.
Every single time.
Tom Ackerman, our buddy from KMOX, if you follow him on Twitter, he's got his phone's just staring at a piece of equipment at KMOX that's playing the Mike Shannon call on the Freese triple, that tied the game, then the Berkman single that tied the game, and then the Freese home run that sent it to Game 7. Of course, the Cardinals win, 5-2, I think, in the World Series Game 7. But the reason he said that, you didn't realize, that's to get to our point, is Jack Buck, who was my mentor, my hero, in an earlier World Series when he was calling the World Series, Kirby Puckett homered in Minneapolis, And Jack Buck said, "We will see you tomorrow night." So then Joe said that with David Freese, and it was just added to the moment, right?
That's awesome.
I mean, I know that they have to be professional and not pull for a certain team, but the fact that the Bucks are from St. Louis and that happened, and yeah, really cool.
And we get World Series Game 1 tonight.
That's it. Let's go. I'm actually excited to see that. I've got it taped. We're going to a movie tonight. So does that sound exciting?
What movie?
We're going to go see, there's one about people that have passed away and then they come back to life, or then they come back, or however you want to say that. Like they're dead for a bit, and then they come back and they share their stories about certain things that have you ever read any of that? Have you ever studied up on stuff? I mean, it's amazing the people that have that experience. And I would like to think that they're telling the truth because every one of them says it, but they're like they'll say, "I didn't want to come back." Like it was a feeling of just overjoy. Like one lady was like, "I heard music, the prettiest music I've ever heard in my life." One guy was like, "I the first thing I saw was my grandpa, saying, 'Come here,' and I don't know. It's just I have to believe that it's true, and that you hope that when someone does pass away that there's that next great place,
Yes.
the ultimate place. So
Yeah.
I've always said if I could script my entrance into heaven, I mean the good
You got a
Lord's
walk-up song?
The good Lord's going to have a big list. He's going to be, hold on, Lon. Before you walk in, my man, we got to chat about some things. But I would love more than anything to see every one of my pets.
Yeah.
Just all my dogs sitting right there going, "Let's go. Let's go play." I mean, I would be like, yes. Not that I don't want to see my dad, my brother, and my grandparents and such, but it's, and of course Mom's still alive, so that's why I didn't mention her there. Of
course.
But if I could go up there and see Babe and Sadie and Griff, I mean, I would be in absolute heaven.
Literally,
This
yeah.
is how bad I am with dogs, and then we're going on to talk about yesterday in Marshall. I appreciate you guys filling in for me because I had some stuff to do. A guy was turning in front of me at a stoplight, and he had a German Shorthair, which was what Sadie was, in the back, and he had the head out the window, and the ears were just flopping, and I just started laughing. I almost started crying. I'm like, that's got to be Sadie saying hi to me. So I get emotional when I talk about
pretty
dogs.
awesome.
I love dogs, man. Love dogs. Spell God backwards.
Yep.
It's the greatest creation. I tell my
The movie
kids,
doesn't
you're not.
sound bad, man. I haven't been in theater in a while.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I
Thinking of
haven't either.
popcorn. I know you're getting the milk duds.
Oh, popcorn.
Somewhere,
milk duds
I
in
think
the
our phone line just lit up because Joey Wagner's here to grill us about our candy choices. I even went home. That was at Pia's, right? We were talking about that?
Yes.
I went home that night, and I like timidly asked my wife, I was like, is a Milky Way a bad candy?
No.
Is it a bad candy bar?
Wagner he was out of line on that.
I thought so.
He was out of line.
She's like, it's okay. And I was like, what is wrong with people? I love Milky Way.
I do too. I like a Milky Way. It's a different kind of taste than a Snickers. And
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Snickers is
the candy
got
bar
everything
that
you want.
I don't mind, but it would not ever be my first choice is the Three Musketeer. I'm not a big fan of that.
I agree.
But like a Butterfinger is a good candy
yep.
on occasion. Snickers is just incredible. And I love 100 Grand bars. I love that Nestle Crunch kind of, in there. Oh, man.
But yeah, Wagner dogged on my Milky Way
He totally
and your
did.
Milk Duds. I also like Milk Duds.
Gee,
but,
money. Wagner. I brought like
Love you, Joey.
I brought like a 3X shirt to wear in because after I eat popcorn, drink my soda or pop I call it, and eat my Milk Duds. There's no way I'm not walking out of there gaining 6 pounds tonight. But so be it. I can work that off tomorrow. I don't know what I'll be doing tomorrow, but I probably won't be working that off.
Watching college football. Right. All right, 2 spin-off topics. I know that we got to get to Brad Underwood at some point here. I want to play that as you gear up. The final, intro for Illinois and Kansas going into Sunday.
And you're going to replay your interview with Norm Roberts in the 5 hours.
Yes,
so
5:05. Make sure to stay
wait.
tuned for that if you're just tuning in and you missed that. So there are a number of different things. I said 2. There's probably a number of different things we could spin off of that interview and turn into talking points and even full-on segments. But he talks about being in Bill Self's basement as a staff while Bill is taking calls from different people, coming out of a room and then saying to the group, all right, we're staying in Illinois.
Yeah.
And you go back and talk to somebody else and say, we're out, we're going to Kansas.
Oh, man.
And just to imagine that scene, and obviously it'd be great to follow up and say, Bill, who'd you talk to? You know, go down the list. Who'd you talk to this time, and what leading to this way and then the other way? I'm with you though. I think that Norm, in terms of the storytelling and the detail, I couldn't have asked for better than that one. But what did you take away from that? That it was that back and forth. If you take him at his word, and I think even Bill has been on record of saying, number one, he said it was a really tough, really emotional decision, and that it came down to the wire. What did you take away from that?
First of all, I think if you hadn't been to an Elite Eight, won a couple of Big Ten titles, knew the talent you had coming or you had on campus, plus what you were bringing in with Villanueva and such, I think because of all that, it made it really difficult. I think if Bill Self would have not won a Big Ten title and maybe bowed out in the round of 32 twice, I think the decision would have been a lot easier. Of
course.
It would have just been, well, heck yeah, I'm leaving. I think Bill probably to himself said, this job could be one of the best jobs in the country. And I think he was basically proving that. I think Lon Kruger proved that a lot by getting that kind of talent in that you can compete for national championships. Lou Henson had some of those, obviously, with that 89 team and 84, et cetera. But, yeah, I think it was tough for Bill because I think he realized how close he was. And while you understand what Kansas is and you're going in to take over for Roy Williams, who is an absolute legend himself, you still had to think to yourself, right now, on paper, Illinois is the better job in terms of winning right now. Like that next season, I think Illinois was the better job. I know I told you in that interview when you asked that and Norm gave that story, I looked at you and I'm like, why wasn't Ron Gunther in his basement? Why wasn't he at the house knocking?
Or camping in his front yard or whatever it was.
I mean, you're right across town. I don't know where each lived. I knew where Bill lived, but I didn't know where Ron Gunther lived. And it's like, why weren't you there? I mean, make Bill tell you no to your face. And I think, I don't know if it's fair that we always shred Gunther for this, but maybe it is. But it's like, I'd love to have Ron on to explain what happened that day. I think that would be an interesting, you talk about a great article. If you just, that day, the day, where you had self-explanation, now you have Norm Roberts, then you could have Ron Gunther talking about that. You could talk to the Kansas AD, whoever it was at that time, and just everything that went back and forth. I believe everything Norm said there, and I believe Bill Self when he says it was a very hard decision.
I think one of the interesting parts of it, when I wrote my column back in August about this is, in my opinion, the right time for Self to come back, and I did some digging around of what I could find out, and on the note of the day, it sounds like, and I was told pretty confidently that it was made that day based on Ron Gunther's request, because when he talked to Self over that weekend, he said, I want to know in 24 hours what you're going to do.
He gave him a timeline.
And I'm not saying that swayed in a wrong way or anything, but then also there's the line in the Andy Katz article. I know we've talked about this, and we're rehashing a little bit if you listen to us and remember from back in the summer, but that he reported that it seemed unlikely that Gunther wanted to pay Self the same amount as he was paying Ron Turner, which is $1.1 million.
Oh, my gosh.
And hearing the way that it was phrased by Norm Roberts, it puts me in a place of like, what if Gunther just said $1.5 million, $2 million, we'll find the money, here it is, don't even think twice, and maybe that goes the other way. If it really was that much of a 1 hour it's this, 1 hour it's that, what if there was there were no holes to poke in Illinois' stay cell?
Right.
Then what if it goes? Maybe it goes a different way. I don't know. I know that in reading some other stuff that in the years that follow, Bill credited or talked about a conversation with his dad that he had that maybe would have put him in a position to be motivated to go to Kansas because, number one, it got him closer to his father and his mom who were in Oklahoma City. It was an easier trip for them to be around him more often. I don't think his dad was in the best of health.
I think his wife
at
wanted
that
to go
time.
back home too.
I had heard that as well.
Cindy, I think, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
After knowing that I dated his daughter in 6th grade, that she's like, we got to get the heck
You
out
did?
of here. Yeah.
You never told me that.
I mean, as much as you could date somebody in 6th grade.
Well, yeah, you gave her candy hearts.
You go to Skateland and hold each other's hands. But
I held her hand.
Breaking Piper's the reason that Bill Self left.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Jeez, Dirk.
But I think there was a line, and look, storytelling does come into play and things that sound good and whatnot, but I think there was something where he goes, his dad kind of challenged him and said, hey, if you don't want to follow in Roy's footsteps, that's fine.
Oh, wow.
As like a challenge to Bill in that kind of sense. But
let me throw a separate angle at you. Try to picture yourself at that time that you're Ron Gunther. Bill Self has never been to a Final Four. Bill Self inherited, Norm Roberts said it, one hell of a team.
He did.
From Lon Kruger.
He did.
Obviously, on the flip side of that, he's bringing in 5-star guys like D. Brown. I don't think Darren was a 5-star. He was a 4.
He was a
probably.
top 100.
Top 100.
Villanueva was a top 10 surefire 5-star.
So he did know that he would be coming here. So I guess in that sense, it's easy now to know what Bill Self has done and to know what Bill Self is in terms of one of the best coaches that's ever coached, in terms of winning, et cetera, and recruiting, and put it all together. But, Ron Gunther didn't have that at the time, right? He didn't know in other words, what I'm saying is you could see where Gunther might say, well, let's see, he's won with Kruger's recruits. I don't know that I want to pay him the highest, let's say, top 5 payroll or coaching salary in the country, because I don't really know yet if Bill is going to do this with his own players. Now, again, that's easier now to think because we saw what that D. Brown crew did getting to a championship game. Mm-hmm. And we've seen what Bill Self has been able to do at Kansas. But at the time, maybe Ron Gunther, maybe there was some hesitation to say, well, what if I go out and pay, like think of Lovie. I mean, how much did we overpay Lovie Smith? Horrendously, right?
Yep.
Maybe Ron, I'm not trying to stick up for Gunther here, but the thing that I would have made the decision if I were Ron, there was something special about Bill Self. The first day I met him and interviewed him, I could tell right then that I would play for Bill Self. Now, Lonte doesn't mean anything in all of this, except to say that my first character thought of Bill Self is, this guy's a stud. This guy gets it. He understands it, obviously knows how to coach. He won at a big level with Tulsa even before he got to Illinois. So I've always kind of wondered that, like I'm trying to picture what Ron Gunther was thinking at the time. But certainly, I don't know that anything could have stopped Self from going to Kansas. I'll put it that way.
And yeah,
maybe $2 million does,
maybe,
but I don't think anything stops him from going.
And maybe it was a situation that just the emotions played itself out, but regardless, I saw that, Ryan. Everything is easier in hindsight, but Piper's house is still getting egged tonight. LOL from Ryan. Oh, boy. Okay. Fair is fair.
I love it.
That was great.
What time are you going to be there, Ryan? I'm sorry. Can we do it after
only
the movie?
I didn't have if I had the hotkeys in front of me, if I had the pun, if I had the drink.
Right.
Hold on.
What Kyle wants to talk.
If you go to the...
You know what number it is?
It should be, no, it's at the bottom. You have to go to a different page that should say hotkeys.
Hotkeys. We got drink in there.
Pun and drink.
I say we drink and then listen to Brad.
We're slowly getting the buttons back.
For Ryan, for Lon.
I wouldn't egg your house, by the way. I would just either soap it or TP the hell out of you.
Soap it.
We used to do a lot of soaping.
Is that was the thing?
Oh, yeah. We'd take soap and like on all the windows.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and then we got caught one time, and the next morning at 5 a.m. Well, my mom and dad always said, that's fine, but if we ever get soaped, and one morning I was up at 5:30 in the morning with a bucket and a towel going around to and we got a lot of windows out at that house in Patterson, and I was going around cleaning windows. Mom's like, these are the best windows I've looked in a long time. Ryan's just kidding, wink, wink.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'll meet you at 9:30.
Okay. To the weekend, to a Illinois-Kansas matchup that we can't wait for, to a great interview both with Chester Frazier and with Norm Roberts, to any other reason out there.
This drink is to pipes, man. You killed it on that interview.
I appreciate it.
Happy hour.
It's not very loud, is it? course, I'm going deaf, so.
No, it wasn't as loud. But give it more gas, he said. So I did. Do we have time for Brad?
Let's play it a little bit.
Play a little bit of Brad.
We can kind of sneak into the 5 hour, right? Right into the Norm Roberts interview.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I'll sit here with you tonight.
All right, let's see.
I got to go buy some toilet paper.
Brad
some
Underwood.
Soap.
Here we go. Let's get to.
Oh, Ryan's bringing the Busch Light. Oh, hell, this is on, man.
It's going to be a party.
This is on.
I might come out and help you.
I was going to say. Derek's out there having a Busch Light while we're soaping his house.
My wife would probably appreciate the soap more than the eggs.
Right.
But, all right, Brad Underwood spoke to the media. Let's get you a little bit of that before we get out of here. Here is your Illini head coach.
Exhibition 2. We're obviously going to get a great test. We're really excited to be helping the people of Maui and Lahaina and that island. Obviously, it's something that has been a huge part of college basketball for decades, and we want to make sure that we're doing a little bit to help them. It's obviously a destination place where a lot of fans, a lot of teams go, and they have enjoyment for a week, 7-8 days. Kansas is scheduled to play in that event this year, and obviously things have gotten changed because of the devastation over there. So really, really excited to be a part of this. Huge thanks to all of our fans who have bought tickets and shown up for this. My thanks to Bill for coming back and for wanting to come back. And it's been a long time since he's stepped foot on State Farm Center floor. It was not that when he was here, but
Dr. Michael Slosser, director of the University of Illinois Police Training Institute.
I'm a big fan of,
so I'm very positive,
our Illinois
person.
history,
and I have been training
he's a big
recruit
part of that.
officers
He's a
for
Hall of
quite a
Fame
long
coach.
time. I was a cop for
He's done a
20 years
remarkable
before that.
job
We just
at
need to
Kansas.
realize that
He's
the majority
continuing
of all
to do that as
people in the
the
United
number one
States
team in
appreciate
the
the work
country.
we do.
So
But the goal
it's a
would
great
be
opportunity
to try
for
to
us
gain
to
the confidence
do some
and
good,
the trust of every
and
citizen.
a lot of
And I know that's
positives for Maui. And in the meantime, we know we're going to get a lot better from the basketball side of things, as we did a year ago when we scrimmaged them. And so it's exciting. I think it's going to be a day that'll be fun. I think it'll be fun for both teams. I think it'll be fun for our fans, and I'm just honored to be a part of it and have our program be a part of it.
With Bill coming back, it seems like your friendship has helped build a bridge, essentially, like Gordyville, and then him coming back for this. How's that feel, and what do you hope this return looks like for him?
Yeah, I hope he enjoys it. I'm pretty sure he will. I think he had a great time at Gordyville in our Coaches versus Cancer event. We had 1,500 there that night, and he came back. I think it meant a lot to him. He came back a week after winning a national championship, and there was a lot of parades, I'm sure, and celebrations that he could have been at, and he chose to come back and support Coaches versus Cancer, but more importantly, come back to a place that he had a lot of success at. So I hope he enjoys it. I hope it's fun. I know it'll be the basketball side of it's the basketball side. We'll all get something out of that, but. I hope he gets to reconnect with some friends, and I hope he's extremely well received here in terms of our fans and appreciative of the job he did here, which was spectacular.
Competitors like to compete. Is there any element where you have to tell your guys, I don't know, pump the brakes a little bit because it's an exhibition, or do you let them run?
No, you want to find out. And I mean, we try to practice really hard every day so that we're in go mode all the time, and we know who we got coming in. We know they're good, and we knew that last year. You're looking. We're still searching. We're still trying to figure everything out, and I'm sure Bill is. He's got a lot of new guys as well. So we're far from a finished product, but you get to find out against, as I call them, real dudes, and we know what they stand for, and what Bill's program's about. So it's full throttle, and you try to go and learn as much as you can, playing against great competition.
Coach Marcus Domask showed some nice things against Iowa, some versatility. Has that continued in practice?
Yeah. He's very cerebral. He plays at great pace. He's got a lot in his bag.